All right, guys, welcome back. 2020 season. Had a request or two to start at the previews and reviews again, so I thought I'd give it a go to see if the shine comes back on. So let's start with the week two review. You know, week one we didn't do anything, so let's just say it. Jason Hahn's team looked like the best team out there. Um, we'll see how it goes. Um, but there were some of us that lost. So let's start with week two. Week two, we'll start with my matchup against Dan Evans. Did some moving and shaking during the week. Traded longtime keeper and just a couple season keeper anyway, Deshaun Watson over to Deke, and ended up bringing back Jimmy G and Jonathan Taylor. So that would look really good for my team if I would have kept Jimmy G, but instead I traded him for Daniel Jones. And then I thought it'd be fun to play Kirk Cousins against Dan. And Kirk Cousins went for negative 4.5 points. So joke's on me. But by the looks of it right now, the game's not over yet. It's over for me, but it's not over yet for Dan, and he's up 35 points. There's really nothing I could do. MVP for my team would be Jonathan Taylor with 17 points. Mike Evans had a good game, and my defense is really looking good this year. Jamal Adams is double-digit points every week. Devin White has been really good. Stinker for me was my tight end position. So in 2 weeks, I've had a tight end score over 20 points on my bench. As I put the other one in, and they scored 3. So Dallas Goedert, he sucked for me, and Kirk Cousins sucked. Looking at Dan's side, who was good? Well, let's just think about it. Aaron Rodgers, Alvin Kamara, DJ Moore, Odell Beckham, Austin Eckler, Terry McLaurin, all really good weeks. He could have put in Robinson on his bench. He had 18 points. Could have put Metcalf in. He had 15 points. Overall, Dan's team looking really good. Crushing me this week. But if I had to give him an MVP right now, I'd say it's probably Terry McLaurin. He had a really big day. And there was no one on his team that played poorly. Overall, his defense was under the 20-point target that I put for a good 3 defensive players, but he didn't need them. Kicked my butt. Second matchup, working on him on the tablet at the same time, and so second matchup we're going to look at is Jason Calder versus Spencer, new guy in the league. I don't know who's going to be dead last between me and Spencer when this week is over, but it's going to be one of us probably. So welcome to the league, Spencer. Welcome to the basement. We'll have some fun down here while we fight over waiver wire people. Now that's enough, because Jason Calder put up the high for this week, 165 points, or 64.78. MVP of the week, could be MVP of the NFL right now, Josh Allen, who went from sucking at throwing last year to be a throwing machine this year. What a quarterback matchup in that. You had Josh Allen at 45 points and Dak Prescott at 44. Really, really good. Going down the list for Calder, Zeke Elliott, Robert Woods, Jonnu Smith sitting there with 20 points at the tight end position. Kareem Hunt over 20 points. So Kareem Hunt's probably his MVP other than Josh Allen for the week. Also a 15-point kicker and a 15-point linebacker. So how do you get 160 points? You have multiple guys over 20 and a bunch of good players. If he did have one crappy start, he had Zach Moss in there who did nothing. But if anybody's looking for a quarterback, me. But Matt Ryan sitting on his bench, 36 points. Atlanta's looking good on offense, awful on defense. Now, going across the matchup and looking at Spencer, 111 points. He didn't do bad. He would have beat a lot of teams or he would have beat me, but he would have beat some teams this week. But he ran into steamroller. Um, but Greg Olson, 0.00 points at tight end, kind of forced him to start because he's got Kittle. So Kittle is one of the million people that are injured. T.Y. Hilton, he's not having a good start to the year. He had Brashad Perriman in the lineup who went out hurt. Overall, really good to get to 111 points, but unfortunately lost by 53. So, all right, next match, if I can get it to do what I'm asking it to do, is I mentioned him on the top. I'm trying to jinx him maybe, but Jason Hahn's got a really good team this year. So Jason versus Derek. So let's talk about Jason's team a little bit. So the guy kept Jared Goff, Todd Gurley, and Devonta Adams, and then in the second round drafted Kyler Murray, which just goes to show if you think there's a difference maker in your draft, go out and get him because Kyler Murray has been a star so far this season. He's Jason's MVP, 33 points. Jason's got 104, about 50 points less than he put up last week, but still didn't need much more to beat Derek. Devonta Adams, I see he got injured, but he didn't. They're saying it's not long term. Gurley didn't do much. Amari Cooper, Dallas scored 40 points. And he only got 10. Not disappointing because he got double digits, but you wish he could have been better. Chris Carson was great again, 16.8 points. Probably the biggest disappointment for Jason was Aaron Donald. After watching Philadelphia in week 1, you'd have to think Aaron Donald would have had 7 or 8 sacks by himself, but only half a tackle. So, looking at Derek, the great part about trading for Jonathan Taylor from Derek is that he outscored Deshaun Watson this week. So, I know it's only 1 week, but I'm hoping. Biggest disappointment for Derek is he lost Saquon Barkley for the year. He's gone, torn ACL. But he got this wide receiver he traded for from Drew named Tyler Lockett, who's not injured for the year. And he traded away Cortland Sutton, who is injured for the year. So that worked out really well for him. Really bad for Drew. Really good for Derek. But we're all going to be 0-2. So Derek's MVP is Miles Sanders. Came back for the Eagles. Put up a really good week. 17 points overall. And his biggest disappointment, other than having Saquon hurt, was probably Marquise Brown. 33 points Baltimore put up, and he only got 4.2. So that kind of sucks. Looking at benches, so Jason had Kyler Murray with 33, Joe Burrow with 30, and Jared Goff with 30. So he couldn't have gone wrong in the old quarterback picking. Looking at Derek's bench, not as good. Drew Lock's going to miss some time. Phil Lindsay's injured. Lamar Miller doesn't even have a team. He traded for me from Benny Snell. He ended up minus points. Chris Godwin, concussion. CeeDee Lamb down there, he looked pretty good. He might be something to play going forward. Eric Ebron. Derek's got Njoku on IR. He had beat up. Anyway, right now he's losing by 8, and it's only getting bigger. So Jason's going to win that one to go to 2-0. Derek's going to come down to the basement with me and Spencer at 0-2. Next game, two-time defending champion Graham Smith. He might actually be shit out of luck this year, and nothing to do with Andrew Luck. Devin beat him by 35. MVP for Devin's Russell Wilson. He's been amazing to start the year. Nick Chubb showed up this week, 25 points from Chubb. Hopkins had another good week, 14 points for him. 2 big disappointments for Devin, and he got 125 points and he won. So how big a disappointment can they be? But Mark Andrews only had 29 yards, and Will Fuller had 0 points. After last week's 8 catches for 112 yards, he sure fooled the rest of us. Ronald Jones might be out of a job now with Leonard Fournette looking so good down in Tampa, and Jones fumbled. But Antonio Gibson got a touchdown. So Devin's continuing his winning ways. Last What is he now? Was he going to go to 2-0? Yeah, so he's going to go to 2-0. So in the last 2 years, he's about 16-1. That one loss coming in the final to Graham last year. So good job, Devin. Looking at Graham's team, you might as well. If you want to meet Graham's team, you got to go to the hospital. It's shocking that his quarterback isn't injured yet. But his backup now is, because Jimmy G's got a high ankle sprain. Christian McCaffrey scored 22 points. He's his MVP, but now he's out. 4 to 6 weeks, high ankle sprain. Gallup and Ertz were disappointing. Adrian Peterson disappointing. Mostert, been a stud so far this year, 17 points, but now he's out. Well, he had an ankle injury. So is he out for next week? Maybe, maybe not. Doubtful. They're playing the Giants. They probably don't need anybody, but he could be out. So Graham, he could be hurting. Sony Michel was a bust in the lineup, 1.9 points. He sucks so bad. Looking at Graham's team, you look down the list. Paris Campbell, he traded for me. Bad trade for Graham. Well, I mean, Daniel Jones didn't do much, but he traded Jimmy G. I gave him Jimmy G and Paris Campbell for Daniel Jones to try and get a future quarterback. And Paris Campbell's out indefinitely, and Jimmy G's missing at least next week with his high ankle sprain. Lucky for Graham. Oh, and Graham also has Sterling Shepard, who's dealing with turf toe, so goodness knows how long he's going to come back. Did I mention he's got Michael Thomas on the injured reserve for another 2 weeks? Or maybe he plays next week, but he's inactive this week. Oh, maybe he could play Jack Doyle. No, he couldn't play Jack Doyle. Jack Doyle missed the week. So Graham is the walking wounded. So none of us could beat him. So maybe the injury bug will take him down. Anyway, it's a lot about Graham. Devin 2-0. Graham's going to fall back to 1-1. Dick Hiltz versus Beach Failboat. I tried multiple times to give Dick Kirk Cousins, but I think I would have had to give him Kirk Cousins and a pick upgrade to get rid of him. So it looks like he's going to get dropped. But he beat Yip by 26 points. So Yip crushed me last week. Dick crushed Yip, so you know what that means. I'll beat Richard. Anyway, looking at his team, Cam Newton, rejuvenated. Having a lot of fun up in Foxborough, 36 points on the week. Dalvin Cook salvaged the day with a late touchdown, and by salvage I mean he got to 15. Stephon Diggs looks amazing, 21 points. Travis Kelce, 15. Mark Ingram, 13. Sammy Watkins got his first catch and then got a concussion. Unfortunate. Jerick McKinnon, 16 points. So Sammy Watkins is the big disappointment for him, but like I said, he won by 26 points, so he can't be disappointed with anybody. Nick Bosa out for the year, torn ACL. Down on his bench, he's got some good players. He's still got Golladay down there. Galladay's hurt. Is he ever going to come back? Who knows? Looking at Yip's team, he's going to be tough to beat any week because he's got Patrick Mahomes. Mahomes is MVP, 31 points. Put Naheem Hines in because he was a stud last week. He didn't do anything. Adam Thielen was a stud last week. He didn't do anything, but that's because Kirk Cousins sucks. Evan Ingram, meh, middle of the road. Allen Robinson should be a stud. Chicago's not throwing him the ball. Calvin Ridley, I think he's the number one wide receiver after 2 weeks, and he's got like 5 touchdowns so far, so he'd be his MVP number 2. Clyde Edwards-Helaire after his big debuts, only 7 points, but still running back on Kansas City. Harrison Butker kicked a bunch of field goals over 50 yards, so he's a stud. On his bench, Tannehill actually outscored Mahomes, but you never play Tannehill over Mahomes. Fournette, 23 points. Maybe he gets back in the lineup next week. Russell Gage, 10. Gesicki coming through, tight end, coming through, 19 points on the bench. At least I'm not the only one who has a great tight end on the bench. So overall, Yip's going to fall to 1-1, and Richard's going to go to 2-0. But long season left to go. And with injuries like this, who knows? On the bright side for Rich, he's got Jerick McKinnon, and if everybody else is injured, Jerick McKinnon's going to go off next week against that Giants run defense. Last game this week is Danny versus Drew. So I traded Danny, a starting running back, for a kicker before the season started, thinking I was some sort of special genius. Uh, I'm a special genius, all right. That kicker went for 20 points in the first week of the season. Um, anyway, Danny is winning. This game's not over yet, but he's winning by 30. So it's essentially over. Drew Brees, second straight game, not looking great. Maybe he gets some late, but right now sitting at 11 points. Danny's MVP is obviously Aaron Jones, highest scorer so far this season, non-quarterback, 41 points. He was awesome. He was a one-man show. You got a feel for Danny right now because he's a Denver Broncos fan. They lost Von Miller. They lost Drew Lock for a while. They lost Courtland Sutton now for the year. So that sucks. But, disappointing. Juju Smith-Schuster, disappointing. Drew Brees, a little disappointing. Hayden Hurst came through. Cooper Kupp, he needs to get going. And Malcolm Brown, after having a great week one, took the backseat to Darrell Henderson this week. Over on the losing side of the ball, the CrossFit King, 19 points for Lamar Jackson. He's winning. He's doing a great job, but he's not Lamar of last year right now for fantasy. David Johnson couldn't run against Baltimore. Most disappointing player on his team is Julio Jones. Julio short-armed a touchdown pass from Russell Gage. They scored 39 points, and Julio Jones had 24 yards receiving. That just is unheard of. Bright spot for Drew is John Brown. Robbie Anderson had over 100 yards receiving, but he fumbled the ball, so he couldn't capitalize on that. And then you got the Courtland Sutton. I already posted about it. I mentioned it already a couple times. Just injuries ravaging teams this year. Courtland Sutton's out. He done. He's got Chase Young, who got 1 million points last week against Philly. Not as good. But overall, if you're going to talk about a disappointment for Drew, Lamar's his MVP, and his disappointment is Julio. There's two of your keepers, right? Looking down at the benches, James Conner didn't know if he was going to play for Danny. He played. He got 18 points, so this will be the year of whether or not you can play James Conner. David Montgomery on the bench for Danny, 20 points. So a couple big guys on the bench for Danny Wynot. Down for Drew, not really anything special down on the bench. He could be in tough if Lamar's not going to be a stud, losing Courtland Sutton like that, and only putting out there one running back. He might be in tough a little bit, but probably still not below me in the standings. So I can only troll him. Well, I can still troll him a little bit. And frankly, I can't take all the credit. His dad told me to troll him. So it was kind of a group effort. Us boomers got to stick together, right? So anyway, that's it. So winners this week: Danny Wynot will go to 2-0. Rich Hiltz will go to 2-0. Devin will go to 2-0. Han will go to 2-0. Jason Calder will go to 1-1. And Dan Evans will go to 1-1. So most of the playoff positions are 2-0, and they'll be done. But yeah, we'll see how the season goes. I'm looking forward to it. The Swifties have some makeup ground to do, and next week we got to play Jason. So here's hoping I jinxed him. He's the best team in the league. His team is second to none. He's such a great drafter. Totally, fully healthy squad. Looks like a tough task. So anyway, kept it under 20. We'll see how the preview goes next week, but hope you guys enjoyed, and good luck, Bibs of the Gridiron guys. Hopefully I can come back and win the league. See you guys soon.